Welcome to the Dice Tower, a podcast all about board and card games and the people who play them. This episode, number 12, is part of our Classic series and was originally aired on August 18th, 2005. This episode of the Dice Tower is sponsored by Your Move Games, makers of Battleground Fantasy Warfare, the miniature war game without miniatures. To learn more about Your Move Games or to take a flash demo of Battleground, please visit www.yourmovegames.com. And now, here's your host, Tom Vassell.
Welcome to the Dice Tower.
No, that wasn't me. That was my daughter, Amy. And this is Tom Vassell welcoming you to yet another episode of the Dice Tower, episode 12. In this one, we talk about our top 10 games from 2004. And these have changed a little bit over the years. Perhaps maybe I like some other games more than I like the games that we mentioned in this episode. But I'm still pretty happy with our choices here. So let's just get right to the episode. A lot of people have talked about our audio problems. I'm trying out a new mic here. We'll have to see how it works.
Yeah, so just bear with us.
Well, we're glad that you're here. That song was thanks to Joseph Cardarelli.
Cardarelli, we think that's the way you pronounce it.
And he made that for us. He said he'll work on it a little bit more for us.
Yeah,
tell us what you think of it.
Yeah, we have a few suggestions how to change it. You know, Tom doesn't like his shut up thing, but I think it's pretty accurate.
Anyway, this is the Dice Tower. It's a podcast on the internet about board games, tabletop games,
all tabletop
collectible
games,
card games.
Yeah, that's Euro games, war games, everything.
We tend to focus mostly on board games,
right?
But occasionally we branch out. We're hosted by www.gamefest.com, board game store on the internet that has great prices, great deals, and is home of the Game Wire by Rick Thornquist, which is the best source for board game news on the internet.
Mm-hmm. And we have our own webpage, thedicetower.com, where you can go and get a link to all our previous shows and some other information, along with Tom's webpage and my blog. And so
there's a lot of information there. So also, if you need to email us, you can find our email on that page, or just email us at thedicetower@gmail.com.
And we do appreciate the email we've gotten. We've gotten quite a lot of email this past 2 weeks, and we'll talk about that more in a few minutes.
Right. So this is the exciting time now for some of you, because we are going to finally finish up our contest.
But not until after we talk about this last week.
Right.
Now, what game did you get in this week, Tom? Any?
Actually, I got in a lot. I played the biggest game for me was finally getting Conquest of the Empires in.
Yeah, we got that in.
The version 1. I also played a lot of card games. I got to play Children of Fire, which I really, really enjoyed. Just wrote a review on the internet of that game. What about you?
I taught 2 guys ASL, so I've been doing a little proselytizing.
See how friendly we're being?
What's that?
Joe, you're such a cool guy.
Yeah, I like you, Tom. You're a good guy.
This is the new friendlier show.
Yeah, the new friendlier show, right. Yeah, shut up, Tom. Anyway, no, I taught 2 guys ASL.
Shut up.
Why not?
I'm supposed to say shut up.
Yeah, you're supposed to say. That takes me off! Oh, anyway, I taught 2 guys ASL using the ASL starter kit.
Not me.
And, I think I made a mistake, though, because I beat them both. And usually when Tom teaches a game, he always loses. Because he claims it's because he wants them to want to play some more in the future. I don't know about that. I think that's just because Tom normally loses anyway.
That will never be known now.
You're right. We'll never know.
So I got to play games once, and so
I got 2 games of ASL in. 2 scenarios, I guess. I got a game. I'm in the middle of an ambush. I'm playing Ambush, the solitaire game. And actually, I'm thinking about posting I'm going to try my hand at literature. I'm thinking about writing it like a story, the day by day, and posting it in my blog, what happened to my squad. Anyway, kind of boring to most people, but I find it interesting. And like you said, we played Conquest of the Empire, which is an interesting game. I think I like it.
I also got a chance to play Through the Desert. Through the Desert is
the new version of it?
No, it's the old German version. I don't normally own copies of the German versions of games, but I managed to pick it up in a trade once. And it's a lot of fun.
Who'd you play that with?
Some people that came over to our house. They came to visit, a couple.
Oh, okay.
And they played with my wife and I think Laura won. And I always thought I had the victory sewn up.
Yeah, that happened.
Perfect Through the Desert record has been broken.
Every time I play Through the Desert, when the next time they break that game out, they notice there's one camel missing because I always try to eat one while I'm playing.
Joe's been chewing on the pieces. For those of you who don't know about Through the Desert, it has little pastel camels in it that look just like candy.
The game itself is okay, but the theme is really silly. And then I got 2 games of Agora, which is a one of those hip pocket games by Chia, the Chia Game Company.
Yeah, and Joe's going to actually
I'll talk about that
later on.
Yep.
We got 96 responses for our contest. If you're listening to this and you're about to respond, it's too late. The contest is over. I have 96 names here in front of me. I have 96 things about what people like the most.
Right. We almost have 100 listeners. Actually, I think we probably have 100 listeners because I'm pretty sure of at least a few people that listen to the show that didn't bother to email us, weren't interested in the contest.
Yeah, some people are really busy running websites, and so they don't always have time to email us with their concerns. And they might be getting their own free games anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
But what I did was we got so many responses. I apologize that I didn't have time to respond to everybody, but I cut and pasted and I printed out 6 pages of what people liked about our show. I think 256 pages about what people didn't like.
We got a lot of responses, a lot of tough love in there too. I tell you that.
we certainly got the point about
Tom. Tom's one of those numbers crunchers. So he took every single one of the emails, downloaded them, and cut it and pasted them into 3 different huge documents. And one is the things that people like, the things that people dislike, and the third one is how can we make the show better? And to tell you what, I mean, he had this big stack of documents, and I was amazed.
Yeah, well, actually, people did give us a lot of praise. People really like the top 10 list. Some people think that we'll run out of topics, but I can't see that happening anytime soon. Thanks for all the suggestions of new top 10 topics. Some of them we will.
We got a lot of criticism.
Take people up on.
We got a lot of criticism too. Don't forget to say that.
Well, that's what. But most of the time, people agreed. For example, I think maybe one person told us they liked the.
That was Grognard's, wasn't
it? The fantasy session reports. They're gone. We got the point.
We're never going to do another fantasy session report. We'll do that. Me and Tom can do that in our we can do that in our spare time. Just me and you, Tom. We'll just get together on a Tuesday night and do fantasy session reports.
The thing that people disagreed the most on was the length of our show. Several people told us that they wished it was longer. Mm-hmm. Several people told us they wished it was shorter. We can't make you all happy.
I don't really understand because most of the people who listen to the show, well, I don't know. I'd be interested in. Do you think most of the people who listen to the show use it to download onto an iPod, or do they download it onto their computer and listen to it? I know one guy said he has to burn it onto a CD. I don't know.
Even me and Joe are split. He's the iPod.
I have an iPod. And
I'm the download to the computer kind of guy.
So I just download my stuff right onto my iPod, and I can listen to the different shows. And I think how many of them are now listed on iTunes?
Of our shows?
No, not our shows, but of the different shows now.
Oh, there's hundreds.
When we started, there was just us and the other show.
Right. Now there's at least 6.
There's 3. No, when we started, there was 3. There was us. There was Board Game Geek,
Speak,
and Speak,
Board Games to Go,
and Board Games to Go. Now there's quite a few, but I don't think any of the new ones anywhere really focused on board games. They're kind of
Speaking of podcasts, we would like to say hi to our iTunes listeners.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We'd like to thank Chris Brooks for helping us with our RSS code.
Right, which we're still working the kinks out of, but.
Several people mentioned that we don't talk about older games much. That we will mention those time to time. Joe probably more than me. But
yeah, well, you
have to remember that a lot of people do want to hear about the latest, greatest games.
Sure. But it's true, though, that people are looking for those good deals on the old games, too.
A lot of people also asked us to have guests on the show and to call up people like on other shows, but Board Game Speak from Board Game Geek does such a good job at that.
That's their thing, and really we don't have the facilities or we can't logistically. It's just not really possible. We're on the opposite side of the clock, so if we did do an interview, it would have to be in the middle of the night for them or in the middle of the night for us. The equipment, we're on a shoestring budget. It's not going to happen. But what we could do, and if you can send us an MP3 or an audio file of a game review or something like that, we could possibly use it.
Which brings us to several people complained that they couldn't hear Ted Cheatham on our last show,
and that we were being rude.
Because we were talking over.
We wanted to apologize. I want to apologize first to Ted. We didn't realize that we were going to be so loud. We don't listen to the show until after it's published, just because we don't have the software to do it, or the time really. So we just publish it. We do everything live on this show. We don't have no editing
at
all.
We just hope nothing ever happens in the middle of a show.
This is like Saturday Night Live. We just go. We just push. When Tom pushes record, we just go.
Actually, if something dreadful happened, we would restart. In fact, one of our mics went out.
Yeah, on the show.
Like 2 minutes into the show.
So it wasn't
we restarted it, But if it went out 20 minutes, I don't know what we would do.
So that's sometimes why we go long too, because we look at our watch and we try to be done by a certain amount of time. But if we go over, then it's just we went over. If we go short, we go short. There's no way to edit anything out, so we really got to be careful what we say. And we apologize in advance for dead air, things like that. Stuff. Sometimes that kind of stuff happens. We're actually considering looking into some audio software to help us maybe do some editing, but neither one of us really have any knowledge on it.
If you can point us to some freeware,
email us some like a freeware or some good software that we could use that we can possibly try. We might do that. It will help. Yeah.
A lot of people also mentioned that they wanted us to do more shows. I apologize, but our lives are really, really busy. To do one show a week, I think we're putting out pretty good.
Yeah, we're doing good. Yeah. So, do we finish apologizing to Ted? I mean, because I just kind of started talking about.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, we weren't trying to be disrespectful. We were just talking back and forth, not realizing that our mics were even that loud. We thought that we might be a soft muffle in the background. And when we ended up listening to it, we were really loud.
So if you send us an MP3, we'll turn our mics off while it
Yes, we'll turn our mics off. Unless you want us to leave it on. We could do like a MST 3000 or something.
But there was a lot of other minor things. Some people said they hated Joe. Yeah. Some people said they hated me.
Right. It's about 50-50 there.
The opposite. Some people said they loved the war games. Actually, pretty much everyone said. Some people said that they liked the banter. Other people said that they thought we were ready to kill each other.
Which brings up an interesting thing. Believe it or not, Tom and I are actually friends. Tom, give me a hug, man. Come on. Big hug right now.
Here's the time for my confession on the air about Joe's true feelings towards me.
Get out. You're going to get smacked.
He really hates me. No, it's all in good fun, I think. At least from my side it is.
Actually, when I get home, I talk to my wife and we work it out. I have to go punch things, but no, just kidding.
All right. So we do appreciate all the things, and now it's time to pick the winner of our contest. I have in front of me a list here with 96 names on it.
96 names.
I double-checked every email I got to make sure your name is on this list.
And you're just going to have to trust us on this. We promise we're using some integrity and everything else. We're not going to cheat. We have no reason to cheat. We actually had a soldier here named Brian, but he had to go back onto base because the base curfew is going to be soon. It's 9:16 at night right here in Korea, and he had to be back on base very shortly for his unit curfew, so he had to go. He was going to be our third-party observer.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to roll, to make this more exciting, we're going to roll 100-sided dice, disregarding any 97s through 100s.
Yes.
And
if we roll 97 through 100, then we'll just roll again.
Then we will get 6 numbers. Of those, once we have those 6 numbers, we'll roll 1 6-sided die, and that's the winner.
So when we get the 6 names, we'll read those names, so that if you're listening to the show, you can be all excited because you don't know what's
Actually, we'll read them as Joe's going to roll, and I'm going to find a name.
All right, here we go. The first of the finalists.
I stick my wife's name as number 97.
Yeah, that's another thing. We have no family members in the contest.
Yeah, no family members or employees of our corporation.
Right. Here we go.
All right.
The first, the finalist is number 67.
67. That's Wallace Friedel.
Wallace Friedel. Cool.
All right, he's number 1 in the final roll.
Number 2.
I feel like we're doing a lottery.
24.
24 is Mark Ballinger.
All right, good job, Mark.
Well, I know
you worked hard for that one.
He's number 2.
All right, number 3. 90.
90. Matthew Wills.
All right, good job, Matt. Don't know who you are. Actually, I think I do. No. Yeah,
we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Number 4. 73.
73 is Kim Beattie. I think he's from Consumworth, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. And what are we on? 5?
Number 5.
Number 5 is 76.
76. Kent Ruber.
All right, and this is last one, right?
It is number 6.
Number 6. Cross your fingers. Here we go. I'll draw it out. I'll do percentile first. We're somewhere in the 30s.
People don't know what number
That's true. They don't know what number they are. Number 30.
It's Snooze Festival. You know him. I met him at Origins.
Cool.
So
all right. So we have our top 6.
So Wallace Friedel, number 1. Number 2, Mark Ballinger. Number 3, Matthew Wills. Kim Beattie's number 4. Kent Ruber's 5. And Snooze Festival is number 6. I forgot. I didn't write his name down. I wrote down his Board Game Geek.
All right. And
ID.
You already said that these top 6 people, no matter what happens, the 5 that don't win.
The 5 that don't win automatically will get extra points in our next contest.
Well,
we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
So for people who always complain and say, I always get so close to winning and I don't win, well, we're going to put the odds a little bit in your favor in future contests. And we do have another contest today, but let's finish this one up first.
Right. And
this is the big roll.
No, this is not the big. I'm gonna veto Tom here. We're gonna roll 2. We're gonna go down to 2. Let's go down to 2 just for fun.
You were going to eliminate them?
I'm going to roll. The first 2 numbers I roll are the two that is for the championship fight. All right. So like a boxing match. All right. The first of the finalist is number 6.
All right. That's Snooze Festival.
And the second is number 1.
And that's Wallace Friedel.
So Wallace versus Snooze. William Wallace.
Now, freedom! Don't fast forward your MP3 players.
Here we go.
Final roll.
Wait, we forgot to decide. I rolled it. It doesn't mean anything.
All right, 1 through 3 is Wallace.
Okay.
And 4 through 6 is Snooze Festival.
All right. It's Wallace.
Wallace Friedel, congratulations.
Congratulations.
We'll be in contact with you.
We'll email you. Yep.
And we will tell you how to get the game. Actually, Eagle's going to send it to you. Eagle currently, the company, most of them are at
Gen Con.
Wallace Friedel, his email, I actually met Wallace at Origins. I was walking to the elevator and I handed him a card. He reminded me in his email. I handed cards to everybody. So he said I gave him a card on it.
Look at Wallace's... I
gave him a card in
what
the
kind
elevator.
What kind of constructive advice did he give us? Anything?
He said he liked the top 10 list, but he said that... Oh, this is the guy who said that I was too much of a co-host and I should take...
Oh, my goodness. I can't believe this. Now, listen, we are co-hosts, all right? The day that Tom's running things is the day that Joe walks, all right?
Surprised Joe didn't walk in 12 episodes ago.
Yeah, right.
So, Wallace, congratulations, and we will be in contact with you shortly. And congratulations, he won Conquest of the Empire by Eagle Games, a great game. Now, what, you may ask, do we have for you this time? And just so you know, after this contest, we have another one lined up.
Yeah, we think that hopefully we can pull our resources, and between the different companies and the people we know, we're pretty sure we can do this for a while. So.
And this contest, like the last one, is going to last 2 weeks. It's going to end on August 31st.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this contest is for your choice of 2 different games from Z-Man Games.
Right.
One of them is Santiago, which is a new game of managing resources and building canals, or Primordial Soup, which is a reworking of a game called Soup. Now, Joe hasn't played Santiago, but he has played Soup.
I have played Soup.
And I played them both, and they're both great. Soup is probably my top 20 games.
Soup, you're like an amoeba, right?
You control several amoebas, and you can change.
Is that the one where you poop different colors?
Yes.
Just to be crude.
It's where you poop cubes and then eat the other people's poop cubes.
I remember that game. I like that game. That's one of the. And it's pretty confrontational because can't you upgrade your amoeba to attack and
you
things?
You can attack.
Yeah. Maybe can I enter this contest?
You can play mine.
All right.
But Z-Man Games is an up-and-coming publisher. They used to do mostly card games, but nowadays he's even reprinting Reef Encounter and Fairy Tale card games.
Should reprint Reef Encounter. That's a good game.
So it's really exciting. You can take your choice of either one.
Right. Once you win, then you would just we'd tell you how to contact the company and tell them which one you would want.
Joe, do you wonder how you can win?
I wonder, Tom. Tell us listeners how we can win. In
this episode, we're going to be giving you our top 10 games from 2004. Yep. And so we want you to do the same. Send us at thedicetower@gmail.com your top 10 games from 2004. Mm-hmm. Now listen, what we're going to do is we're going to do a copy of what is called on the internet, sometimes it's called the Dream Game. Richard Garfield made a version of it called What Were You Thinking? Basically, it works like this. We're going to take all the top 10 games, and if your game, for every other person who sends in the same game name as you get 1 point. So
now, does it depend on what order they send it in? Is it like if your number 1s agree, is it worth more points than if your number 2s agree?
Right. Number them from 1 to 10, and for every number 1 that you pick, for example, let's say that you said that Time Control was, well, actually Time Control that came out in 2004. Let me think of a game that came out in 2004 that probably, I should say that, but we'll pick a game of that's real popular. Ticket to Ride. Let's say you say Ticket to Ride is the best game in 2004.
That came out in 2004?
It did. If you say Ticket to Ride is the best game in 2004, and 30 other people say that it's the number 1 game, then you'll get 30 points in Category 1. Now, this is going to take a lot of math crunching by me.
But Tom's a math teacher. He'll probably have his students do it for a project or something.
They don't necessarily have to be your top 10 games.
What I would like for you to do is do it twice. Do once, if you don't mind. I'm really curious because we'll compile the stats ourselves. I would like to see what your true top 10 are, and then you can do a contest top 10 where you think everyone else is going to vote.
Good. That makes sense. And we'll do We'll do the numbers on both.
Because, for instance, the Wargamers, you're not going to put your top 10 games a bunch of Euro games, but if you think a Euro game is going to be in the top 10, then you might want to put it for your contest top 10.
Good point. Or even if you don't care that much. But when you send this in, think it may take you 5-10 minutes to put this together, but you might get a $30, $40 game for free out of
think about it this way. This one's a little bit harder, so there are probably less people that enter. I think there'll be less people.
Do you think we'll get 96 responses?
I don't know. It's not as big. The Conquest of the Empires is a big,
people
huge
like
game.
to criticize, and we're not giving them a chance.
Yeah, I think I'm sure that Grog will enter.
All right.
We always pick on Grog. He's like our mascot.
You have 2 weeks to compile this. If you have any questions, email us if you don't understand exactly.
If you don't know who Grog is a celebrity on one of the websites we go to all the time, and we just like to pick on him. He's just a nice guy.
All right. So that's our contest for next time. I'm really excited about it. Now let's talk about our reviews for this week. Each week we try to review different games in a little bit of detail for you, and Joe and I each review one. I don't remember which game Joe's reviewing.
I'm reviewing a game called Fortress Berlin.
I don't remember because he never told me.
You never asked.
I know.
You don't care, do you? What game are you reviewing? You never told me. What are you reviewing?
Conquest of the Empire, and I did tell you.
Oh, that's right. All right, so who's going first?
You are.
Oh, I am? All right. I'm doing a game called Fortress Berlin. Fortress Berlin is a magazine game. For you that don't know what that means, Wargamers, we don't really care as much about the bits and all that kind of stuff that Eurogamers do. And so we will actually buy a game that comes in a magazine. And then you open a magazine, and within the magazine you'll find the counters and the map. And so not only do you get a great magazine, but you get a game. And this is we have a heritage of doing this with the SPI, and ASL had a magazine for a while. They have a new magazine out now. But anyway, this is from Against the Odds. It's a magazine. It's kind of a pricey magazine, but like I said, you get a game included. And this game was designed by John Prados. All right, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's designed quite a few games. I could actually call those up and look at them if you're interested. I guess I wouldn't know if you're interested, would I? Anyway, Fortress Berlin's a war game. It takes place in Berlin, the last month of the war. It's one player plays Germany, one player plays Russia, and there's different sets of victory conditions. This is a pretty complicated game, I'll be honest. Some people have criticized it for a couple different reasons, and I'll address those real quickly. But overall, I think this is a really, really cool game and a very gamed battle. There's not that many games out there that are about this particular battle that does such a good comprehensive job of covering it. You have different counters. It comes with a beautiful, beautiful map. I really like the map. It looks like a World War II bomber picture, like from aerial photography of Berlin.
That does look nice.
Yeah, it's really big.
Joe's opening it up as we speak.
Because I know that all those viewers want to see it, so I'm opening it. Anyway.
Someone suggested that we do video, but I don't think we're going to do that.
Anyway, this Fortress Berlin, you got a beautiful map of Berlin. Basically what's going to happen is the Russian player is going to come in from every angle. The German player is trying to fight him back, hold him back, and try to meet these different victory conditions by destroying units or holding different objectives. It's all spelled out for you in the rule book. And it's just a really interesting game. I've only played it once, I'll be honest, and I played it solitaire. Once again, it's hard to get people to play games with me, but that's another good thing. Now, it's not because no one likes me. It's just because there's no one here that's smart enough to play war games. Well, I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean that. Actually, there are people in Korea. If you're listening to this show...
I'm going to start marking down every time that Joe's rude.
Oh, come on.
And then we're going to have to keep tallies.
If you're a war gamer and you live in Korea and you want to play some games, let me know, man. Email me. Anyway, so some criticisms about the game. The counters. When they published the game, they came out with a kind of a weird set of counters. They're not the traditional colors or the NATO markings. They're little silhouettes of men and tanks and things like that, that's kind of cool. But they went with these odd colors. It's kind of hard to differentiate the different units. It takes a while, but I do like they did headshots of all the important rulers, and for Goebbels or for the propaganda minister, Goebbels. How do you pronounce his name? Anyway, they just have a picture of his mouth, which I think is great. So, anyway, all that said, I think it's a great game. You should pick it up if you can get it for a good price. I think it'd be well worth it. It takes about 12 hours. And you probably think that's pretty funny, don't you, Tom?
12 hours is way too long for me, with an exception, which I'll mention later on in the show.
All right. Anyway, it's got a high solitary rating. You can definitely play it solitaire. I would highly recommend this game.
Conquest of the Empires is my review. It's a brand new game. It's come out by Eagle. When I say brand new, it's a reissue of an older game that came out with the old Milton Bradley Game Master series. And the game is designed by Larry Harris, who he's much more famous for doing Axis and Allies. Now, the game back then had a flaw. Apparently the catapults were too powerful, but that was been fixed, I guess, because they certainly weren't too powerful in our games.
Do we even use them?
Well, we did, but they were just there for combined arm purposes. What's really cool about Conquest of the Empires is that it comes with 2 separate rule books, 2 completely different games. The only thing they have in common, really, is the combat system and the beautiful pieces. Components are marvelous. The board is huge, like all Eagle boards. It's probably bigger than it needs to be, but I just love these big boards. Beautifully illustrated, and comes with maybe the best plastic miniatures I've seen in the game, except for maybe Memoir. They're really, really nice. The trireme ships are just gorgeous. The catapults, you can actually move them. It's cool to the point of being silly.
Cool.
And all that's just really nice. The dice are just like they remind me of the dice from the game Attack, where they have embedded silhouettes in them.
I really like the money was this cool.
Oh, and the money, these big plastic coin pieces for money, and I like that much better than paper money.
All these Euro games should do that. It's much better than the cardboard.
Not just Euro games. I think Monopoly. We should be using coins.
Isn't Monopoly a Euro game?
Yeah, I don't know. But Conquest of the Empire, the first set of rules, set 1, is done by Larry Harris. He's updated them a little bit with some input from Glenn Drover, the president of Eagle Games. And basically, it's a 5-way empire building game. You take your armies, you're trying to control spots, you build forces, you attack each other. There's not a whole lot of unique mechanisms in it, but it is fun. And the new battle system where you roll dice, and if your unit shows up on the die, then you hit. It's pretty fun. I'm not real keen on it because I don't like the elimination factor. I don't like how 3 people can gang up on 1, but that just comes with the territory with these type of games.
Hold on. Would you call this a war game then?
Yeah, it's a war game.
Wow. So you're doing a review on a war game. A war game that's got player elimination and you kill things.
Yes, I know.
Wow.
It's fun, but for me, rule set 2 was vastly much more fun. The second rule set that comes with it changes it to a game that's very, very similar to Struggle of Empires by Martin Wallace. And in fact, it says in it that it's based on the game by Martin Wallace. Martin Wallace, Glenn Drover, made the rules for Conquest of the Empire. In this game, you are also trying to control territory to gain points. Each territory is worth different amounts of points, and more than one person can be in a territory, so it's kind of like an area control game like El Grande. But there still can be battles, but you can only battle people in your alliance. There are 4 turns to the game, and each turn, players bid their money to determine who goes in what alliance. So if I think Joe and Bob playing the same game should be enemies, if I pay enough money, I can make them be enemies.
Joe and Sam.
So you can't attack each other if you're in the same alliance. And for me, that's a lot of fun. And then on your turn, you have 2 actions, and there's all different things you can do. Move your forces, you can fight, you can try and gain control in different territories, you can buy special cards that give you powers, you can call a Senate vote. I just really enjoyed the second version of the game. Yes, the pieces were a lot of chrome on top of a more simplified game system, but man, I really enjoyed the second version of the game. And considering that you get 2 versions of a game in one box, it's definitely worth it. And the pieces are beautiful.
We both own the game, if that tells you anything.
There you have it.
Now, Tom, do you own Fortress Berlin?
No. It is on my purchase list.
Yeah,
I think it's like number 63,212.
I forgot one thing I forgot to mention about Fortress Berlin was there's one rule that I don't understand. So if anyone who is listening has played this game, please email me and explain the I don't understand that when you bring multiple units into one area, they are less likely to get hurt by incoming artillery. And so anyway, that's for the war gamers out there.
This episode of the Dice Tower is sponsored by Your Move Games. Your Move Games has recently launched the Battle for Hill 218, a fast-paced 2-player card game with a retail price of just $10, coming soon to your friendly local game store. You can also download a free computer version of Hill 218 at www.yourmovegames.com and play against your PC.
Okay, this is the part of the show where I get to rant.
Ooh,
I haven't ranted for a while.
You got no sound clips, or just get rid of all those?
I don't have any right now. People told us they didn't like them, remember?
No, not everyone. Someone said they liked them.
Yeah, at least three people said they liked them.
What's your name, scumbag?
Okay.
No, what's your problem? That's what
My problem. What's my problem? Currently, I've been reading a lot about the World Board Gaming Championships that were held in Lancaster, Pennsylvania this year. And Joe and I didn't get a chance to attend because they are held right at the start of our school.
Yeah.
Well, that's our given reason. The fact that we're here in Korea is probably
the main reason.
Probably another
reason. If we were
reason.
Independently wealthy, we probably
That's
would
true.
ask for a couple days off.
If you would like to ever buy us a ticket to a convention.
No, it's sponsor a talk show host. Like Jerry's Kids. You can.
That's true. We're lucky to come in for Origins. But either way.
So I got a good friend, Gary Christensen. He said he's going to pay my way next year. Yeah, right. I just made that up.
So Bob, our friend, he loves the World Board Gaming Championships. Every time we talk about Origins, he'll say, yeah, but at the World Board Gaming Championships, and he raved on about it. So I was interested in going, and I was interested in reading the reports afterwards. Man, oh man, is there a firestorm on the web.
Just pause real quick. Am I allowed to talk while you're doing your rant, or should I wait till you're done?
Yeah, because I don't care. I'm about to get to the rant part.
Okay, I'll just wait. I want to hear you say shut up a few times.
There was a firestorm because some people complained about the over-competitive nature of the World Board Gaming Championships. Some people complained about the name and how can they call it the World Board Gaming Championships when the whole world isn't invited. And then there was this huge backlash on Consim World against Board Game Geek and vice versa, and it got pretty heated. Well, first of all, for people who don't like the way a conference is run, I say shut up. Because there are so many game conferences out there. If you don't like the way one is run, go to one you do like. I love Origins. I think it's great. And if I didn't like it, I would go to, we could go to, you can go to Gen Con, you can go to World Board Gaming Championships, there's the Gathering of Friends, there's so many of these different games. Essen, there's so many different game conventions. I mean, there's too many probably. You can find one that you like. I don't like the competitiveness, so I wouldn't probably go to the World Board Gaming Championships. But so what? Just because I don't want to go doesn't mean that they can't do what they do. That being said, I also want to say to these people on Board Game Geek and Consim World who are sniping at each other and thinking that each group is better than the other, and of course then there's that rabble at Rec Games Board and all over the internet, different nonsense. Come on, folks. If people don't agree with your gaming philosophy, and if they don't like the same kind of games you do, shut up, smile, and just agree to disagree. If they don't agree with you, they're not beneath you. They're not stupider than you. They just like different games than you.
Is stupider a word?
Yes.
Okay. So actually, we disagree on this, Tom, don't we?
Well, what do we disagree on?
I agree with your rant. Don't get me wrong. I'll just say about WBC. I like the competitive nature, and I think it's a great thing, and it is the World Board Gaming Conference. They put out a call. If you don't answer, then you must not be that good.
But could we do the same thing?
I know, and I can say that my wife serves the world's best cup of coffee. Does it mean that she serves the world's best cup of coffee? Well, in my opinion, she does.
Okay. But that's just
you're
semantics.
right. It is kind of pretentious, but it's just their name. They've been using it for years. And a lot of those games, like I talked to you about this earlier, a lot of those old out-of-print games, the guy who wins that game probably is the world champion.
That's true. I don't actually have a problem. I personally don't like the over-competitiveness, but I don't like that in anything. I don't like to play sports when people get overly competitive. I like to just go out and play sports to have fun. And so I'm different than Jonah. If I don't win a game, it doesn't bother me at all.
I was reading someone posted, I can't remember who it was, but someone was saying that the whole concept of competitive games makes the game itself broken because people are not going to play it the same. And did you read that article?
No, but I can see his point. If you play a game so much, let's say Joe and I like, what's the game we both like? Wallenstein. All right.
Okay.
We both like Wallenstein. Let's say Joe liked it so much that he went out and read hundreds and hundreds of articles. He played thousands of games of it online. Then he came and played me. He would destroy me, and my fun quotient would go down.
Okay, well, I guess that's it then. WBC is not necessarily about having fun.
But for people who are competitive, it is fun.
It is fun, and I think I would have fun because I'm a competitor.
And there is open gaming at WBC. I understand that. But in my opinion, if you want to do open gaming, I would prefer to go to a place where that's the main focus.
I guess the thing I don't understand about WBC is why do they... Okay, I'll give you this, Tom. Why do they bother having a tournament or a championship, whatever, for a typical Euro game? Because they're so luck-based, and I'm not trying to be mean to the German games necessarily. I'm just saying that you would agree, wouldn't you, that in a lot of Euro games, a newbie can sit down and win the first time he plays, even if he's playing against people who are really good?
Maybe in a lot of them, but in some of the better ones, I can't see a newbie ever winning El Grande, or ever winning Puerto Rico, or ever winning...
Puerto Rico? No,
yeah,
come on.
No, look, read those articles on the internet. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll lose.
Maybe I haven't played in a long time, but I thought it was a little bit more lucky than that.
Wow.
But anyway, I saw a friend of mine was bragging that he got second place in Atlantic Storm at WBC. And Atlantic Storm, while it's a great game, it's a trick-taking game where you have to use diplomacy and whatnot. And it all depends on who's at the table that particular game. So, whatever.
Well, either way.
But the guy who bragged that he won the We the People tournament, I give him props. I mean, that's a game, and you have to actually bid in that game, giving up victory points and things like that to see who can play what side. So that, to me, if there's a lot of these games have a tournament set of rules on the internet, and if there's somewhere set up where they got special rules for tournaments, then you can probably figure it's a good game to use at a WBC.
Well, either way,
neither you were going, so who cares, right?
Yeah, and either way, I am not saying anything against the World Board Gaming Championships. For number one reason, I haven't been there. So I can't really say anything against what they're doing or for what they're doing, but I'm going to assume it's a lot of fun for the people who go. It doesn't sound like it's my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean it's not a great convention.
I would like to go. Bob still's got me, our friend Bob, he still has me on fire. I still want to go.
You know what, though? If I had the chance to go, I probably would, because there's games there.
Yeah, there's
and
games.
I love games.
Come on, it's like a
what
drug,
else can
right?
you do? All right. Now it's time for Joe.
Yeah, I did a war story a few episodes back, and a few people wrote and said they liked it, believe it or not. So I thought I'd do another one, and this one won't be quite as long. I just wanted there was this.
Yay!
Okay, Mr. Rant, shut up. Anyway, back when I was in 101st Airborne, we were doing an air assault mission, and they brought this artillery piece in as a night mission, and I was tasked out to be one of the guys that helped protect this artillery piece while it was being deployed. So it's pitch black outside, and the helicopter lands, it drops off the howitzer, and all the artillery guys are doing their thing. They're getting ready to shoot the artillery piece. Well, me and 6 other guys are spread out in a circle around this howitzer on perimeter, and we're guarding the supposed enemies. It's just an exercise in Kentucky. There's no, unless some kind of farmer came at us with a pitchfork, I'm pretty sure we'd be okay. But anyway, I see a silhouette standing in the wood line, and they started walking towards us. And this still brings a laugh in my mind. As he's coming towards us, I yelled out, "Halt!" And all of a sudden I heard this voice, this really deep voice say, "This is the Red Knight." And now you have to understand that our mascot in our battalion was the Red Knights. And the guy that was in charge, the colonel, he had this ego trip, and he would call himself the Red Knight. And he had this really deep voice. Excuse me, that was my phone going off. Anyway, he had this really deep voice, and I yelled at him, to tell him to halt. And finally, he was getting impatient with this private that was telling this colonel that he couldn't get any closer to this howitzer because he wanted to watch the artillery guys do their thing. And I wouldn't let him get past me. And because I was just a private, I didn't know any better. I was told to let anybody near. And so I was yelling at him. I'm yelling at a full bird colonel. And finally he says, "You better let me go by, Private." And I says, "I don't care if you were Bill Clinton, sir. I wouldn't let you by." And then he says, "If I was Bill Clinton, I'd expect you to butt stroke me." So anyway, that's my whole story. Obviously, the military wasn't too keen on Bill Clinton when I was in the military. That's it, Tom. You can laugh now. I'm allowed to laugh at my own jokes,
I
right?
missed the punchline there.
The punchline was...
that's good.
All right.
All right.
It was pretty funny at the time.
Okay.
It was funny, man.
We haven't done this section of our show for a while, mostly because we've had all these questions, which we're not opposed to you sending in. But this is called Turkeys and Kangaroos. We get it from Tom, my name, Tom Turkey, and Joey Kangaroo. Turkeys are games that we once liked a lot, and now we like them less. It doesn't mean we don't like them
at all. Right.
We just don't like them. We're not as keen on them. Kangaroos are games that we thought, or we liked, but now we like them more. It doesn't mean we didn't like them.
Yeah, they've kind of jumped up in our ratings.
Basically, yeah, in our ratings, the turkeys have gone down, the kangaroos have gone up. We'll start with the turkeys. My turkey is Family Business. Now, Family Business is a very fun card game. Each person controls a family of mobsters, and you're attacking each other. Once someone's dead, they're out of the game. You keep going till there's only one crime family standing. It's a fast-paced card game. You play an attack on someone, they dodge it. I liked it a lot when I first played it, and I still like it. But I think I played it so much that I got a bit sick of it. I think there's a lot of games that do what Family Business did better. For example, Bang is comparable to Family Business, but it does it in a better way with a better theme.
Oh, come on.
And so, well, no, I still like Family Business. I just don't like it as much as I used to.
One of my...
If you have a chance to buy Family Business or Bang, I would go with Bang any day.
No, I wouldn't. Definitely not. I like Family Business. I like them both. Remember that one time one of my most funny gaming memories was that time that we had that real cocky teenager playing with us named Sam, and we all decided he was going to be out of the game before he got a turn. Remember that?
Yeah, I just don't know if I would like it if I was the cocky teenager.
Yeah, but it was fun. It's a fast game.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's your...
I don't dislike it. It's just not as good as it used to be.
You're allowed to like or have turkeys if you want, I guess. All right, my turkey this week is apples to apples.
So we just lost 10 listeners.
My wife likes the game, and I like the game. And when we first got the game, I thought, this is a pretty clever party game. And if you're not familiar with the game, Apples to Apples is a game where everyone at the table has a handful of like 5 or 6 cards, I can't remember, and there's a central whoever's turn it is plays a card in the middle of the table, and it's got what is it? Not an adjective, but
an adjective.
Yeah, an adjective. And then in your hand you have nouns, and you pick whatever noun or saying or expression, whatever in your hand most reminds you of that adjective, and then the player chooses. And it's pretty funny, and there's a lot of laughs. But man, I've played it so much. I mean, every time we go to like a function with other people, someone, either me or Tom, has brought it, or someone asked to play it because they're familiar with it. Back in the States, I brought it with me, and it's a real easy game to teach, and I'll give it respect for that. But man, if someone brings out Apples to Apples again, I'll die. So Tom, don't bring it out.
No.
I'd much rather play Time's Up, or there's so many other good party games out there. Wide the Chicken. I'd rather play any of those games other than Apples to Apples. So Monica, when you listen to the show, that's my wife. Please, honey, can we just not have any apples for a while?
Kangaroos, a game that's gotten better. When I first played Modern Art, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great auction game. I thought it was probably the best auction game. Of course, I had played like 2 at that point. Now I've played probably 30, 40, 50 auction games. Probably 100 when you include games that have some kind of auction in them. And there are some auction games like Trum Fabric, which I have more fun with because of the theme. But Modern Art, I've been playing it a couple times recently, and it's just such a superb auction game. I mean, if you play with people who aren't very smart, they can break the game because they bid too high or low. But when you play with 5 people who are canny bidders, man, is it good. And I just really enjoy it. If you don't have Modern Art and you get a chance to buy it, Mayfair has it out now in a new small edition. It's a really nice auction game. It has 4 different kinds of auctions in one game, and it's just really good. You can even win the game without ever winning an auction, just by being a good seller. And I think that's just a cool feature.
So you don't like the Hollywood version, the Hollywood game better, huh?
Trum Fabric?
Yeah.
No, I do like it better, but only because of the theme. But I'm beginning to get hooked on Modern Art because its auction mechanics are better.
You think Modern Art would be better if they used classical art? At least then you could identify with the pictures?
Well, I do identify with the pictures.
Excuse me, Mr. Anyway. My kangaroo this week is a little small hip pocket game called Agora. And when I first got the game, I actually traded it off to Tom.
Aha! And I still own it because it's a good game.
And I didn't give it much of a chance because it is from a company that goes by the name Chia Pass. All right, and you can pronounce it however you want, but that's the name of the company. And most of their games are, if you're familiar with the company, are just kind of not that good. All right, there's some good games, and this is one of them though. This game is really good. In this game, it's just a card game, and you play cards, and you're simulating building a shopping area. Okay, and I'm not going to go into the details of how to play the game, but the first couple of times I played it, I thought, this is okay. The second time I played it, this is interesting. But man, lately, I've played it 3 or 4 times in the past couple of weeks. I just really like the game. It's really cool because it's a card game where you play cards in front of you to build things, and you can lay the card in any orientation you want with very few rules determining how you do it. And it just leads for some interesting strategies. And it always comes down to be a nail biter at the end. You have to supply your own markers and things, your own bits when you play. But I really, really like the game. And now that I'm in Korea, every time I explain the game to people, I always explain it like we're trying to build the open market. Because in Korea, we're familiar with shopping at the open market, and it's very haphazardly built, and there's all kinds of weird entranceways and things, and you can't ever figure out which way the entranceway is or the exit way is. And it just reminds me of the open market in Korea, so it makes it that much better. I would like to see it even rethemed with a bigger budget. I think the game would do well if it had some nice bits and a bigger budget, some better cards. So if you're listening, maybe you can do that. I don't know. But I really like it. Agora it's a hip pocket game.
All right. So we're about to get into the final part of our show, which is actually my favorite part to always, each week, I always like to think about this.
I thought the rant was your favorite.
No. I like going over the top 10 list. Once again, don't forget, if you're interested in getting either Santiago or Primordial Soup, send us the top 10 games that you think are the most popular top 10 games of 2004. Once again, here's how the scoring for that works. If you say, for example, if you say Ticket to Ride is your favorite game, and 5 other people say that they think that's the number 1 game also, you get 6 points. 5 for them and 1 for you. 6 people. All 6 of you would get 6 points each. If someone else like Joe put Monopoly, the Carcassonne version,
I'm going to slap you.
and he's the only person who put that down, then you would get only 1 point. So you're going to score 10 different times for all 10, and we add up all your points. We're going to give each of the people who were in our top 6, we're going to give them each 5 extra points.
I'd rather wear a Puerto Rico shirt all around at the Con Sim convention.
I shouldn't have said that, but we'll add up all your points. The person with the highest points wins. Remember, you can't win if you don't enter. So email us at thedicetower@gmail.com. Now, here are our top 10 games from 2004. We're going to do this twice a year. We're going to do it at the very end of the year, and then we're going to do it halfway through. Well, we're a little bit past halfway through here in August. But we have now had a chance to play pretty much all the games we want to from 2004.
Right. And if you're a gamer, if you're listening to the show and you're a gamer, which most people are, but I'm sure there's a few that are not, games when they first come out, they get a lot of hype, and there's a lot of you want this game, and you may be really excited, you might rank it pretty high, and unfortunately games don't really have a very long shelf life, do they? I mean, a lot of games, you buy them, and then you rank it at 8 or a 9, maybe even a 10, and then you come back even 6 months later, and it's just been boom, 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 down your list. Now it's at a 6 or a 5.
I don't know. Mine don't go
7,
down that much.
Maybe a 7.
But this was really hard for me. I thought the year 2004 is one of the best years ever for board games. I cannot believe the amount of good games that were introduced. I had 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games that I really considered putting in my top 10. They were Struggle of Empires, YS, I guess Ys or Is, Maharaja, Power Grid, Ultramare, Succession, Intrigue in a Royal Court, Geist, Heroescape, Feudo, and Bootleggers. Bootleggers. All those games were games that I really, really, and I'm sorry, Why Did the Chicken too? I thought all those games were great games, superb games. And if those games did not make my top 10, you know it's a good year.
Yeah, it's interesting, Tom, because I also had many games that I wanted to put in top 10, but we didn't make the top 10. And I had three of the same ones that you did. I only had 3. I had Heroescape, Power Grid, and Why the Chicken, just like you did. And then I have 2 miniatures games, and one of those is 40K, the 4th edition. And before you start puking when I say 40K, the 4th edition rulebook came out. It's a really good rulebook. They've streamlined a lot of things, and they've worked out some problems. It's a good issue. And then Blitzkrieg Commander is a historical World War II rule set, and it's really high quality. And in the miniatures historical world, that's something that lacks a lot of times. It's just high quality production with good pictures and explanations, example plays, and it was something that's been needed for a while. And so I almost had it number 11, but it didn't quite make it. So without any further ado,
top 10 games.
Once again, we have no sound bites, so I'll just do one because next week we're going to do this.
All right, go ahead.
Let me see here.
The number 10
What's your name, scumbag?
Come on. Okay, so here's Joe's number 10 game from 2004.
All right, my number 10 game from 2004 is a card game. It's not a war game. It's called David and Goliath.
What's your name, scumbag?
Thanks, Tom. I feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Anyway, no, it's David and Goliath. Now, some may argue, and let's just precursor this whole top 10 list by saying that Tom and I talked about this already. Some of these games, I think there's only a few of them, but even in future shows, a game may have been released years and years and years ago, but if it's been re-released and redone and even made it better quality or new rules or whatever, to me that's a new game.
I agree.
And so, like David and Goliath, my number 10 game, had been pre-released years ago, but this is a new version of the game. It's all streamlined, it's all cleaned up, and I never played it before this, so to me this is a new game. So number 10 for me is David and Goliath, a trick-taking game. I've talked about it in previous shows. It's just a great little card game. You can play up to 4 players. Maybe 6 players. Is it 4 or 6, Tom? Do you remember? I don't remember.
David Goliath, I think it's max 4, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it's max 4. Anyway, it's a great little trick-taking game. Highly recommended. It's cheap. Pick it up.
My number 10 game is not a board game. It's actually a collectible game. It's Sports Clicks. Major League Baseball Sports Clicks by WizKids. This is not the second edition I'm talking about. I don't know anything about that. I've only played the first. But I like the first a lot because you could buy a couple teams, and if you didn't care if you had the whole baseball league, it was good enough for me.
Yeah.
It was a really good baseball game. It really, to me, simulated a good baseball game. Scores were like 4-2 or 5-1, or it was hard to get a base hit.
Didn't you?
And it was actually a good strategy.
We have an interesting story about that, right? Because you traded all of your terrain, all your old, because he used to be a miniatures gamer a long time ago, and Tom traded all his terrain to a dealer, who then gave Tom a bunch of Sports Click stuff.
Oh yeah, I got piles of the Sports Clicks.
And then later, maybe like a year later, I went to this guy and traded him something else for Tom's terrain. So now Tom's terrain is at my house, and I had to go through a third party to get it.
This episode of the Dice Tower is sponsored by Your Move Games, whose most recent Battleground faction, the High Elves, is currently in stores.
All right, number 9. My number 9 game is Victoria Cross. Now, Victoria Cross is a block game. It represents, it's the redoing the Battle of Rorke's Drift in Africa. It's fairly light. Don't get in there thinking it's going to be this big, huge simulation. And it's all about bluffing. The African player tries to bluff the British player with bogus blocks, with fake blocks. It's just a real light. It's real fun though. It's very thematic when you play. If you get into the game and start doing some Zulu chants and stuff and trying to intimidate the British player, that even makes it more fun.
I do that in every game I play.
Yeah, I know, Tom. And it's home produced actually by a father and son, if I remember right. So it's a good little game, block game, and I would pick it up too.
My number 9 game is Doom. Doom, the board game. I have Doom 3, the computer game, and it's pretty gory, graphic, and it's a good game, but it's a little too dark for me. But put into a board game form, it was really fun. I like playing the invaders and seeing those Marines try and come through. I feel like a dungeon master. Some people say that the Marines, it's too hard to play the Marines, and I won't argue that the Marines, it is a difficult time, but man, it is so much fun. There's so many different plastic pieces and plastic monsters and chips for health and different guns you can get. It's just a great, rollicking good time. Fantasy Flight has put out a good game. If you can get Doom, you're getting a box full of a lot of game.
Good. All right, number 8. Now my number 8 is a Euro game, and it's Reef Encounter. I'll be honest, when the first time I played this game, and a friend of ours named Shin, he was Shin, right, Tom?
Yeah.
He introduced it to me. He broke. Yeah, it was Shin at a board game cafe in Seoul. He broke the game out, and I had to just roll my eyes because it really looks silly. But then
it's beautiful.
But yeah, on a closer examination, you'll realize that the tiles in this game, which represent coral reef, every single one of them is different, which I thought was amazing. And then you have these little shrimp that are made out of wood. It was just really cool, and it's very confrontational. It's one of the most confrontational Euro games I've played this year, and for that reason alone, I was sold. Because you can really tick off somebody, and I like that.
All right, my number 8 is War of the Ring. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings games out now, now that the movies are over, we probably won't see as many more of them come out. But War of the Ring, to me, just really embodied the game, the theme of the Lord of the Rings trilogy more than any other game that I've played. It's tremendously fun. It's huge. There's lots of strategic options. It's pretty much a war game, and I really enjoy it. Beautiful pieces, and I'm really looking forward to the expansion coming out this year. But War of the Ring, you can't get a better Lord of the Rings experience than playing that game. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's fairly complex, but man, is it good. I love it.
Good. All right, number 7. I kind of cheated on number 7. I gave number 7 to Lightning. And this goes for Lightning Midway and for Lightning D-Day because they're basically the same game. This is a card game. One's for the Battle of Midway. One is for the Battle of D-Day. 2-player game. Nothing. They have another version called Lightning War on Terror. Nothing like the other two. I didn't like Lightning War on Terror. It wasn't that good in my opinion.
I liked it.
It's because it's nothing.
Oh no, wait. There was one. We'll have to talk about that one in a future episode.
Yeah, maybe so. But anyway, no, Lightning D-Day, Lightning Midway, cheap games as far as being inexpensive, great games, tense. You have to try to bluff each other into launching your planes or using your forces. It's a great game.
All right. My number 7 game is Carcassonne the City. Joe loves Carcassonne, but I really do enjoy Carcassonnes. All the different Carcassonnes are fun for me, but Carcassonne the City is the best. Not only does it have the cool walls that go around it, it's one of the most strategic for me, and yet at the same time it's very accessible to new players. You're placing tiles down, placing your meeples down, trying to control different parts of the city. When I first got it, I enjoyed it, but the more I play it, it's definitively the best Carcassonne game to date. Which I know for Joe
is not that one. To me, I like the best Carcassonne game is the Ark of the Covenant. And only because there's a plastered-on theme, and the Ark gives it a whole other dimension, in my opinion.
All right, do your number 6.
Yeah, I don't want to go on Carcassonne right now. All right, number 6 is the game I did a review on tonight, which is Fortress Berlin. I know it was kind of a rough review. I'm sorry. I don't know. But it's a really good game. And it's one of those games that you just have to see it. And it's a magazine game. You have to be devoted to want to like it. But it's a really good game. It's real intense. It's one of those games that you set it up on a Saturday. You have a buddy come over for the day, and it's raining outside, and you just kind of sit there and play, and you'll have a good time.
Okay, my number. Notice how we keep saying "okay" after each other's games because we usually don't know anything else to say about them because we've never played them.
Right.
Like he says Fortress Berlin, I'm like, well, okay, that sounds interesting. But I'm sure there's people out there who do. My number 6 game is Reef Encounter. Joe's already talked a little bit about it. I like the confrontational aspect. I like the beautiful aspect of it. I just thought it was a great game. I'm really glad that Z-Man Games is republishing it.
Yeah,
if you don't own it, I almost want to say it's a must-own game.
Are they going to republish it?
The rules weren't very clear, but hopefully in a new game they'll be clearer.
Are they going to republish it with the same quality?
I don't know. I'm assuming so, but they're changing the art.
They're changing the art?
I don't know why. The art was beautiful, but supposedly the new art's better.
I guess I'll wait and see. If they do a good job in the republishing, I'll probably pick it up.
All right.
And as we're doing our top 10 list, on the side note, we're actually, both of us are on Geek Chat right now. And let's see, who's here? C5 Blake and MV Ahen. Is that how you say his name? Vavanahin? I have no idea. Why don't you email us, Mahanavan, or whatever your name is, and tell us how to pronounce your name. Anyway, all right, number 5. My number 5 is Axis and Allies D-Day. It seems like it came out more than a year ago. That's how I played the game quite a few times. It's light. It's a dice fest. But according to the internet, it came out in 2004.
It came out at the very beginning.
It's been
a long time ago. You realize we're almost all the way through 2005.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So anyway, Axis and Allies D-Day is one of those. It's one of the D-Day. It's one of the Axis and Allies variation games. There may be a little problem with the balance of the game, and if you're familiar with the game, it's pretty much guaranteed that the Allies are going to win every time. But there's a few tweaks that you can do to it, and you can have a pretty good game on your hands, especially if you're playing with teenagers or kids, people who are not kids, but people who don't normally play war games. It's a pretty good game. It's got great bits, and I'm a sucker for World War II, especially the Western Front. I just really enjoy Normandy and D-Day and this, so I really buy anything that comes out from that genre. So I liked it.
For me, my number 5 was Lost Valley. I still think it's the best exploration game. course, there's not a whole lot out there. I recently have played Goldland, which a lot of people tout on the internet, and I did not like Goldland. It was not nearly as fun as Lost Valley.
Yeah.
In Lost Valley, you did one action, you did something, and you were done. And you never got like stuck in a corner like you can in Goldland.
Yeah, I didn't
in Goldland,
like Goldland.
it's like you fall in a pit and then you got to wait 4 turns.
I almost want to walk away from that game. It wasn't fun at all.
It wasn't very fun. But Lost Valley is a really fun game where you're a prospector mining for gold. I really enjoy it. It's not a real common game, but if you can get a copy.
It had an interesting tiling mechanism, too.
That's true. It had diamond tiles.
Which is neat to say something different once in a while from Euro games rather than the same old, right, Tom?
Right. It was more of an American type thing.
He agreed with me. I can't believe it. I cut down Euro games and he agreed with me.
Well, moving on to number 4.
Number 4, War of the Ring. And this is I guess it would be a crossover game because I know there's a lot of Euro and German gamers that really like this game. But, man, Tom bought this game. I remember all the hype coming up to it. And when Tom got this game, I was excited because when he opened it up and showed me, it just got bits galore. And I love the little figures, great moldings. The game itself, though, is amazing. You really feel, and Tom can agree with me or disagree with me here, you really feel like you're stuck in the Tolkien novel when you're playing this game. I really just feel bound to the theme. And it was like, man, when I've played, and let me rub it in Tom's face here. I've played as the Dark Forces in one, and I've played as the Light Forces in one, and both times I felt like when I was the Dark Forces, I felt evil, and I was like, "Rah!"
When he played the Light Forces, he felt evil.
Only because we won. But I'll be honest, when I played the Light Forces, I had a really good player with me on my team, and he helped me make a lot of the tactical decisions.
Yeah, and I think in every game I played, it's come down. Well, no, when Joe played the Dark Forces one time, it did not come down to the wire. But in every other game, it came down to the wire. It was good.
It was a good, and I highly, highly recommend it. I don't own this game only because Tom does, and it's an expensive game. I wish it didn't cost so much. And is it still available, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I think it's still available.
And the expansion's coming out. So exciting.
I will probably break down at Christmas time.
Please be plastic ends.
I'll pick me up a copy. So cool. And if someone has this game and they'd like to trade it, hey, man, I'd love to trade it.
All right. Number 4 for me is Memoir 44. I've talked a lot about this game, and we're going to talk more about it because there's expansions coming out for it. But suffice it to say, I just really enjoyed it. Memoir 44 without 8 players might not have made my top 10 games, but with an overload scenario with 8 players, 4 players on the side, rolling dice, attacking, recreating the Normandy invaders, Memoir 44 is a terrific, terrific game.
All right. And we can go on number 3. And number 3 brings up an interesting side comment. My number 3 is Downtown, which the full title is Downtown Air War over Hanoi, 1965 to 1972. This game is a 10. All right. If you're a simulation player, if you're a con-sim player, and I don't mean the website, I mean conflict simulation in the purest sense, this is a great game. It's got a great ability to play solitaire. It seems like lately, Tom, I've really been on a solitaire kick. I don't know.
Joe's like a monk.
Yeah, right. But now,
How do you even play? No,
there's a slight controversy about this game on Board Game Geek because of the ratings and whatnot, but who cares about that? Who cares about that?
I wonder who's self-propagating that.
Anyway, this is a 10. I really like this game. I give GMT props. This is a beautiful game. It's a very undergamed genre. I don't know of any other games that have to deal with the Vietnam Air War. I can't think of any. Maybe there is, and I don't know. But anyway, I would highly recommend this game. Pick it up while it's still in print. Or what's not still in print, but pick it up while it's still available, I should say. And over on Board Game Geek, I posted a thing more or less in jest, saying that that this should be above Puerto Rico. And I realize that Puerto Rico's got like 20 billion ratings, and so there's not even really a comparison there. But hey, it's a good game. And so many people give it 10s. There's like 40-something people now that have rated it, and it's a good game.
My number 3 game is Goa. Number 3 game with 3 letters. Isn't that cool? Anyway, Goa for me is the game that is very, very similar to Puerto Rico in just the way I feel about it, with so many different options and so many different things to do. Really cool pieces. The theme, of course, is pasted on, but there's just so much to do on your turn, and I really enjoy that. I can increase the number of boats I have. I can increase the number of trade goods I'm getting. I can do this. You can only do so many things in your turn, and you want to do them all. So Goa is the Euro game of 2004, at least the heavy Euro game.
And maybe that's why I didn't like it.
Because it was heavy?
No, not because it's heavy.
Because it was strategic?
It's the Euro game.
Because it was took some thinking?
No, come on. I did fine when I played it. Don't even go there. Matter of fact, I think I beat you. I don't even remember.
It's the first game.
Yeah, it was.
Joe has an
unnatural. I'll admit it.
When Joe plays a Euro game for the first time, I would say he wins 60% of the time. For some reason, he just always wins. And then if we play a second time, he gets murdered. But that very first game, he often does really well at.
It's beginner's luck. I think
I don't know beginner's luck. He does grasp what you should do in a game quickly.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Is that a compliment? Wow.
That's a compliment.
And I'll
continue on the compliment. Change it to an insult.
I'll give Tom a compliment too. When we play war games, he usually has no idea what we're doing. And strategically, he hasn't a clue. He just likes to see the little pieces move.
No, right. My problem with war games is I will try an absolutely suicidal tactic because I'm just curious. There might be a 5% chance of it winning. I would never do it in real life, but
you'll do it in a game.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, maybe that's why you don't do so well at Lord of the Rings. You're always trying to do some crazy idea with Frodo. All right, continuing on. Number 2. Number 2 for me is Sword of Rome: The Conquest of Italy. This is the card-driven game that is very similar to Hannibal, Rome versus Carthage. It's a great game, and I own this game. I got it for a Christmas gift from a friend named Bob, and I didn't play it for quite a while, and then all of a sudden I was able to play it at Origins, and wow, I really had a good time. I think it's pretty well balanced, and there's some criticism about card-driven games. I've got it from some of the war game guys that they're too random and it's not really a simulation and all these things. But you have to realize that the newer card-driven games, and even the older ones, you don't always have to do the text on the card. If you want to say that it's too random, you're waiting for a card to be pulled, because almost every card has an activation number or you can use it for movement and things like this. There's multiple options you can do. I really like card-driven games. They're light and you can play them fast. It's in that middle area, as I like to call the burst. It's a burst game.
All right. My number 2 game is very unlike pretty much any other game I own. I don't normally like games that take multiple hours. But for me, 7 Ages is the definitive civilization game. It was so much fun. I was enthralled for the hours and hours that we played it. I will willingly set up a day to play it again. You can control one of dozens and dozens of civilizations. Actually, you don't control one, you control several. And how they interact with each other. It's the war game part's closer to a war game than I would ever like. It's too long. There's just so many factors. There's chips in it. I mean, why do I like the game? I don't know. But when you put it all together, it's one of the few games I play because it gives me a grandiose feeling. If you want the civilization game, then 7 Ages is it. It's a tremendous game.
Yeah, 7 Ages is a pretty good Civ game. It's not as good as, I don't think it's good as original Civilization, though.
Well, here we go. Our top game from the year 2004. Mine should be pretty obvious, but let's go with Joe's. Oh, well, knowing Joe, his is pretty obvious, too.
Yeah,
so
mine's pretty
this should be pretty quick.
All right, well, my number 1 game, and wow. And my number 1 game this year is, for 2004, is definitely Advanced Squad Leader Starter Kit, number 1. I really, really enjoyed it. I've used it multiple times to teach ASL to people. It's a great job. Wow, it's just a great way to introduce people to a new addiction. It's like you hear about people introducing a little bit of drugs and then you get them hooked. That's what you do with ASL-SK. Now, my criticism about the game, because people told me I need to be more critical at times. Joe, you need to be more critical. Right? That's funny. Anyway, the rule book, it could have been a little bit better laid out. It's a little bit confusing. They left out a few little important details. I think if you know what you're doing, it's okay.
Okay.
So that's my number 1 game, Tom.
My number 1 game is Ticket to Ride. There's no reason for me to talk about it anymore. I talked about it in like 4 other episodes. It's just one of the best games of all time. It's in my top 10. It's in my top 10 gateway games. It's in my wife's top 10 games. It's the number 1 game of 2004. Won the Spiel des Jahres. It's a great, great game.
And Joe's Turkey next week, probably.
Those are our top 10 games from 2004. Send us your list. Send us in your contest. We're glad you listened to us today. If you want to email us, ask us a question or anything,
please do.
Remember, it's the Dice Tower at gmail.com. If you want to go to a specific person, all you have to do is make sure you put your name in the letter somewhere, and it's automatically forwarded to them.
Yep.
So I'm Tom This is the Dice Tower about board games. I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Joe Stedman.
Thanks for listening. And once again, this is Tom Vassell thanking you for joining us this time. A couple things I'd like to mention. First of all, in this episode, you saw we were looking for feedback. Again, I'm always looking for feedback, and I'm looking for feedback on, do you like these older episodes? I've heard very little about them in the last several months, and so I'm curious if you guys want me to keep re-releasing these every other week. So let me know. Let me know you're out there listening to the older episodes. Also, if you're interested in supporting the Dice Tower, we're going to be putting a page up on our website which shows sponsors of the Dice Tower, and we'll have our high die rollers there. And so if you donate to the Dice Tower, we'll put your name up on that website as a proud sponsor of the Dice Tower. So we thank you all for listening to the show and supporting the show, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us today. Stop by next week for episode 115, in which we talk about the games we're looking forward to in 2008. We'd like to thank Your Move Games for their sponsorship. Check out www.yourmovegames.com to find out why Battleground Fantasy Warfare made Tom's top 10 games of all time, or join in the discussion on their forums. Until next week, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been listening to The Dice Tower.